now call this meeting for the Building Standards Appeal Board to order. City staff, please call roll.
Board Member Ransom? Board Member Mears? Board Member Mears? Board
Present.
Member Fields?
Here.
Vice Chair Vincent?
Present.
Chair Golick?
Present. Okay. For each matter considered by the board, there will be first a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant, then discussions by the board. Both staff and the applicant will have the right to a rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. Public comment on matters on the agenda will be taken during agenda item number 6. All public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and all public testimony must be presented to the board at the podium. Silence my phone in case. There are 3 lights in the podium next to the microphone. It will indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. The green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. Yellow light will come on with a soft bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. The speaker should be completing the testimony by the time the red light comes on. And with the final bell ringing that it has expired. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under the state and federal law is a derogatory manner and shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the board in making its determinations. In accordance with Section 11 of Article 2, the appellant and the department will have 10 minutes to present their position. Department shall present first, and then the appellant will present. Each party will then have 3 minutes for rebuttal. The department will present its rebuttal first, and the appellant may present its rebuttal. After the rebuttal, board members may ask questions of either party, and the board will then close the hearing and discuss the appeal and deliberate on the appropriate actions. Now we will proceed with the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes, board members, to the agenda? Is there a motion to move and approve the
There are
agenda?
no changes to the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Move to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved, and we'll move on to the consent calendar. On the consent calendar, we have the approval of the minutes by planning. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move
Then-
to approve.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent calendar is approved. Now we'll move on to reports by board members. Do each of you have a report to make at this present moment? Okay, and now we'll move on to the public comment. Any comments from the public? Okay, so we'll move on to continued matters. So are there any continued matters that you wish to address? No? So we'll move to new matters. Okay, now we have actions pertaining Fresno Code Enforcement Case Number E25-16660 concerning 1347 is Shields Avenue, and the notice and order issued on January 2nd, 2026. Is there a staff presentation?
Good afternoon, Christina Pina, the City of Fresno. Okay, this is regarding code enforcement case number E25-16660, the address at 1347 East Shields Avenue, regarding a notice and order that was issued and has been appealed for by the property owner. Okay, here we go. After today's hearing, the Building Standards Appeals Board may take one of the following actions. They may either confirm the notice and order that was issued on January 2nd, 2026, and order the appellant to repair, correct the confirmed violations within 30 days, or confirm certain violations but dismiss other violations on the notice and order the appellant to repair or correct the confirmed violations within 30 days, or dismiss the entire notice and order that was issued on January 2nd, 2026. Code enforcement recommends that the board select option 1, which is to confirm the notice and order that the violations be repaired. This is concerning 2 violations on the property, which we'll get into. So as a brief case summary, this case was opened in December 2025 due to a complaint received by the city that the single-family home has been turned into a duplex. The following week, the inspector researched the property by searching for permits and maps, which you could see in the packet that was submitted in pages 39 through 41. The inspector did find old building permits issued back in 1948 and 1949 for one addition, but it did not cover the additions that were at issue during the recent inspection. There was also a 1960 Sanborn map that was found, which shows the bedroom addition that was added in accordance with the permit from 1948 and 1949. However, the Sanborn map did not show the newer additions that turned the single-family home into a duplex. And then there were also 2025 aerial Google maps, which again show the additional patios that were confirmed upon physical inspection. On December 17, 2025, Inspector Maya physically inspected the property with the owner and observed the one unpermitted enclosed structure and a patio that was present, which required permits that he did not find on file during his research. The appellant, later on that month, on December 30th, 2025, the appellant was notified by planning that new plans were required for the permit application that was submitted. Then we go on to January 2nd and 2026, and that is when the notice and order was issued, notifying the property owner to correct the following violations by January 20th, 2026. The first violation was regarding a covered patio that was added without the required plans, permits, and inspections. And the second violation was regarding the enclosed patio that again was added without the required plans, permits, and inspections. On January 28th, 2026, the applicant property owner, Ms. Porter, filed an appeal to the notice and order that was issued. There was a hearing here before the Building Standards Appeals Board on April 7th, 2026, where the board determined to accept the late appeal filing since it was filed a few days late. And so here we are today. The scope of today's hearing is limited to the notice and order that was issued and the grounds for relief raised by the appellant. So the appellant's grounds for relief really revolve around the assertion that the enclosed structure and the patio has been there for a long time. We don't know exactly how long, But according to that, it's the appellant's contention that permits were not needed to add on those structures in the enclosed patio and the covered patio. And in order to confirm the notice and order, the board must be satisfied by a preponderance of the evidence that, one, the violations of the Fresno Municipal Code existed on the property, and that proper notice was served on the property owner, which I'm here to show that both of them can be evidenced with the information provided. The standard of proof for today is the preponderance of evidence. So the preponderance and evidence is established when the board is 51% sure that a fact is true. It doesn't need to be 100% or beyond a reasonable doubt, just 51% will do. So here we're going to get into violation number 1. This is a picture shows a photo of the covered patio that was added without the required plans, permits, and inspections. Fresno Municipal Code Section 11-103 states that the California Residential Code is adopted within the Fresno Municipal Code. And according to the California Residential Code, any construction or alteration of structures requires permits, and which comes with plans and inspections. During Inspector Maya's observations and the photographic evidence here shows the covered patio that was added without the permits or plans on file. So in this first violation, the reason we could see that it was added without the required permits and inspections, again, here's another photo of that covered patio. This is the 1960 Sanborn map that is outlined with a red rectangle. That is the full property there. And this is the aerial image of that same property. Now, when that Sanborn map is overlaid, laid right over the aerial map, we can see there that is the covered patio that did not exist as of 1960 when the Sanborn map was drawn, but does exist now, again, by the physical inspection by the inspector and also by the 2025, you can see on the 2025 map on Google Maps. So here we've established that the covered patio observed during the inspection, there's no permits on file within the city, and that in the notice and order was issued on January 2nd, 2026. As evidence, violation number 1 of the Fresno Municipal Code existed on the property at the time the notice and order was issued. Going into violation number 2, this is, it's enclosed. This is the enclosed patio that was added without the required plans, permits, and inspections. Again, the Fresno Municipal Code adopts the California Residential Code, which requires permits for any construction or alteration of structures, electrical or plumbing systems, or change of occupancy as well. Here, the Inspector Maya's observations and photographic evidence show the enclosed covered patio that does not have permits or plans on file. You can see here too from this photo, the structure of the roof that is different. To hard, you can't really see a line on the photo, but you can see the roof on the left part of the photo and the right are different. And also that extended area seems to have a newer type of window as opposed to the older one that's on the left, which would arguably be the older part of the property or the structure. Further, in violation number 2, again, we're going to show the different maps along with the photo. So here's again the photo of that enclosed structure. Same Sanborn map from 1960. The same aerial photo from Google Maps in 2025. And here we overlay it, and then here is the enclosed structure here, as outlined in that red rectangle. It does not show up on the 1960 Sanborn map, but it is on the Google Maps, and again, was there when it was physically inspected by Inspector Maya. And again, you can see the difference in the windows and the roof structure as well. We also found the property advertised on different websites. It looks like there's 2 separate units being advertised. Specifically, there's wording. The entire listing is in the packet. I just couldn't reproduce it here, or else the wording would be tiny. But it is advertised as a single-family home with an attached mother-in-law unit that is rented out separately. It is advertised as a beautiful, newly remodeled home. And you can see the first unit on the top left. That is a photo of the what we think is the main property, the larger unit. And then the unit number 2 would be arguably the enclosed structure. That's part of unit number 2. And it does look like newly remodeled. Here's some of the historical information that was found by Inspector Maya. There are records and permits on file for this property going back to 1948. It was when it was annexed. There's a permit there for 1949 for an addition for the bedroom that was added back in 1949, and then also a garage that was added in 1950, which we believe to be is that far structure on the back end of the property was the garage that was added back in 1950. And both of these are shown on the 1960 Sanborn map. So here again, we're still on violation number 2. This is another angle of the enclosed patio that was observed during inspection. Again, there were no permits on file. The notice and order was issued January 2nd, 2026. And the evidence, everything here shown that this violation number 2 is in violation of the Fresno Municipal Code existed on the property at that time. Proper notice was served on the property owner on January 2nd, 2026. The notice and order was posted on the exterior of the property and mailed by both first class and certified mail to the property owner. The notice and order contained all necessary information required by the Fresno Municipal Code, all the sections, including clear descriptions. Everything was fully compliant. And again, the recommendation today is that the board confirm the notice and order issued January 2nd, 2026, and order that these violations be corrected. And with that order, a progress hearing would be scheduled within 30 days of the date of order. And that is all. Are there any questions for me, or would you like to hear from the appellant?
I'd like to, okay, thank you very much. Now, the appellant, do you have a presentation? I wonder. Thank you.
No, it's okay. Hello, board. Thank you for allowing me to address you this afternoon regarding the appeal for 1347 East Shields Avenue. I know our time is limited, so I'll address the matter at hand, but first I would like to provide a little bit of context. I purchased this home back in December 2020 from a flipper. The work done by him was mostly cosmetic and nothing structural. The house had one address with a connecting ADU or mother-in-law suite. I decided to rent out the larger main house and live in the in-law suite up until February 2025. When I moved out, I rented the in-law suite to a small family, a mother and her 2 children who was struggling to find a home for them to live in. During their stay, new neighbors moved in, and an incident happened between the neighbors with a disagreement over parking. The neighbors wanted to sell food in the street parking in front of the house. Following the incident, the neighbors reported the home to code enforcement to be a duplex. Instead of building a community, Fresno City has made code enforcement the bullies neighbors use in situations like this. While I know my opinion is not a consideration in your decision, I think it's an important issue that's not usually addressed during these complaints. As a landlord to 2 different families living in the property, I am concerned with many factors, first and foremost being the 2 families have a safe home to live in. I work as a nurse, so our first concern is always safety. My next concern is my own ability to perform the work that needs to be done on the house to bring it to 2026 code without putting these 2 families out of a place to live during that time. Finally, my last concern is my own ability to afford these incurring costs. Now that background has been provided, I'd like to provide the facts regarding my case. In doing my own research and gathering permits and building records, I was able to find out that this addition was a garage conversion that was done back in 1950. I obtained these records from the assessor's office on Tulare. Unfortunately, they're a little crooked, but let's see, does it go back? This is a residential building record that I found at the assessor's office, and where's the other one? Sorry, I can't tell if that's the right one. There's a garage conversion, and it's a residential building record, and it shows a garage conversion that takes place with 1 bedroom, 1 living room, 1 bath, and a kitchen. And that is from the assessor's office, and I went and got an official stamp copy again today, and the effective year is from 1950. That is on file with Fresno County. So again, the garage conversion was complete, 1 bed, 1 bath, 1 kitchen. And is official building record. It's as it stands today. However, permits were not pulled for it, which is our issue at hand today. However, permits were not officially required in Fresno City until 1958, 3 years after the then Board of Supervisors adopted the 1955 edition of the Uniform Building Code, meaning that the county has known about this converted unit since 1950, but it's only been an issue since the neighbor reported this as a code violation. I believe that grandfathering law should come into play in this situation due to the fact that it has been recorded and assessed as is since 1950. Grandfather laws were established for situations like these, bringing a building from 1950 to 2026 code most likely means tearing it down and starting a new building, which is not feasible. There are so many homes standing today that were built at this time and before with and without permits. But in actuality, just because a building doesn't have permits doesn't mean it's unsafe. The reverse is also true. If that was the case, thousands of homes would have to be brought up to code. I do, however, care about the safety and well-being of my tenants, which is essentially the issue at hand with requiring permits. Again, I lived in this house for 5 years, and I didn't have any issues with safety while I lived there. My two options presented to me to fix the violation are: one, tear it down, which means that a mother and her 2 children will be out of a home, and I really don't want to do that. The other option is to get it permitted, which could be upwards of $30,000, and that's being conservative considering that I've been quoted $12,000 to $15,000 for the first step of getting plans, and that's before I even get any construction done. I quite honestly don't have the funds to incur this unexpected cost at this time, and I don't want to lose my house, which was my retirement plan. What I'm asking is that you either dismiss the code violation, and as far as the code violation, I'm speaking only to the ADU, due to grandfather clause, because I have a residential building record that shows 1950, the conversion, yes, to dismiss that, or have an inspection done and deem it safe. In closing, I appreciate your time and for listening to my concerns. This is a hard situation. I'm just worried about all the parties involved and hope that Fresno City can help make it so it's not the worst outcomes that it can be. And if you'd like, I have the building records, because I don't know if all of them are included in the paperwork submitted. So I can give that to you guys if you'd like to look at that as well in your consideration. If you have any other questions.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And let's see if we have the staff to do a rebuttal, and then you have the opportunity afterwards to also answer their questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Staff?
Okay, just want to touch on a couple of things here. There was a statement made by the appellant that permits weren't required until 1958. I think there might be some confusion. That may be a county issue, but not necessarily a city of Fresno, which are completely different when it comes to permits. And as shown earlier on the report and in the appeal packet, there are permits on file from 1948, 1949, and 1950 for this property. There's also the Sanborn map in 1960. So if anything was added before 1960, arguably, it would be on the Sanborn map. These 2 areas that we're concerned about are not on the Sanborn map. We don't know when they were added, but again, based on that last addition, which is the enclosure, it looks like there's newer window, maybe dual pane window. I don't think that would have even been added in the 60s or 70s, maybe the 80s, I don't think so. So that's all arguable. Again, there's no record of exactly when this was built. With regard to these additional records, these residential building records, quite honestly, they're really hard to read. The writing on it is very light, but it doesn't look like these were actually filled in until at least after 1994, because there's a small little date on the bottom of this form that's when this form was established. So we don't know who went back and filled in these forms. It looks like they might have been part of an appraisal maybe for the unit. And if that enclosed structure and the patio was added before it was purchased, the liability goes with the current property owner to bring it up to code and to ensure that it's safe.
Thank you, staff. Would you like to add, appellant, would you like to add to this?
Again, the residential permits here say the effective year is 1950. So I have the certified copy from Fresno County, and in research, I found that Fresno City did not require permits until 1958, so it's going to be up to you guys.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Board members, do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Daniel?
So, yeah, so it looks like there's two units. You have the one in the back of the site that used to be the garage. Is that the ADU? Because the addition to the new house, one doesn't look like that would be an ADU, because there's no entrance to that one. You would have to go through the main house just to get to that patio enclosed area. So there's two separate buildings. You have the main building, and then you have the building in the very back. And usually it's the building in the very back that would be the ADU, not that addition to the existing house.
So it is connected. The newer unit, the addition in the back, is connected. There's a separate gate that you can't see, but there's a separate gate that the people that live in the back enter through to get into the unit.
I have a question. Are we dealing with the garage area, or are we just dealing with the addition to the building and the patio? And this, I think I would ask staff what they're dealing with. It seems like you're only dealing with the main building, to me.
It's the main building with the attached bedroom. According to the maps, there is no garage. The garage was separate, right?
Separate, yes.
Yeah, I'll let the inspector here. He was the one that was out
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah. So if you look at the Sanborn maps and the layout,
Can you put those up, please?
There's one on slide 12. There,
Okay,
that one was fine.
There.
That's fine.
So are we talking about A, or are
Yeah,
we talking about the
so
main
the
building?
garage, if you look at the middle photo where it says A, that used to be a garage. It's a private garage. That's how it was marked on their
Okay.
Sanborn maps. When I went to
Is-
the inspection, if you look at the aerial view and you look up how it's overlaying it and you see the A again,
It's
that
not
means that
there.
at one point that garage was, I don't know what happened, caught on fire, demolished. It's no longer there. But if you look back at the permit that is from 1948, 49, it says it's a 15 by 30, and that's the marker where underneath the red square, that section, based on that permit, it measures the appropriate distance. That permit from 1949 was approved for. What I'm calling out is the enclosed patio that's on the red square and the covered patio that's above the other one, that one.
So you're looking at the attached building?
Yes.
Not the garage?
No,
The garage has nothing to do in this case?
Yeah, there's no garage on
There's
this
no
property.
garage?
Garage is gone.
It's gone?
Garage,
Okay,
yeah.
bye-bye.
I couldn't see where the division in that first building is. That's,
Okay.
If you look at the aerial view, and you see where the red square is at, you see the little triangle shape?
Yeah.
That's the shadow of the 15 by 30 that was
Right.
approved back in 1449. But I couldn't find anything for that patio that's attached to
Okay.
it, that's
All right.
enclosed.
Okay.
is that just the ADU right there? So there's a separate entrance into that area, or does the entrance come into the main building as well?
When I was out there, the only entrance I saw was through the driveway where you see the carport, and right underneath the patio that I was also addressing, there's an entry door that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there an alley behind this?
No alley.
Okay. That's surprising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions, board members?
Couple of questions. So the original complaint came in about it being used as a duplex, but we're not dealing with that today, are we? Is that the way I'm understanding this?
Well, it is yes and no. Yes, because it is being used as a duplex, but once the inspector went out there, he just saw that it was really an enclosed patio and then another covered patio. The whole issue with the duplex, that would be sorted out with planning once the covered structure gets the proper plans and permits. Then the argument there would be that the duplex would resolve itself, right, with getting those plans and permits. Yeah. And then about it coming from a neighbor, they come in anonymously. We don't know that it was that case at all,
Okay.
if that matters.
Well, and I can understand the appellant's concern that it was retaliation. You see that happening, and I understand that, but that's also a side thing from what we're trying to do here. And there's a whole number of facts. So one of the things about it being a duplex and being permitted is you're supposed to have one covered parking space for each of the units.
Yeah, and that's not even being addressed here
The
because.
garage is now gone in the back,
Right.
and and unfortunately, we're trying to look back in time and guess what this 15 by 30 entailed and what all these permits in the past. When I'm looking at the Google map portion that has the red square on it, if that area is trying to claim to be the 15 by 30, it's the wrong shape.
Correct.
Okay, what I'm wondering if was the 15 by 30, I wonder if the garage was originally a two-car garage. They kept one car originally and expanded to, because if you look at that leg sticking out from the garage in the back and take that proportion, now you're starting to get to something that looks like 15 by 30. But it's kind of a little bit of detective work.
Right, right. So that's why, no, I don't know.
Does this have a pointer? Oh, okay.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, well, you can't see it on the light. But if you see on the Sanborn maps, and where it says the D, and you see the outline, how it kind of shapes over, and then there's on the very north section, there's that X and that 1 on the very, yeah, right there. Sanborn maps is, you know, to fit everything in that little small piece, they kind of downsize it. But when I did that section and I measured with the aerial views, if you look at where the line's at all the way to where it's supposed to be, that's where I kind of measured, kind of get an idea of that elongated section up to the red square. That's where that, potentially that 15 by 30 was permitted back in 1949. So that's why I didn't address that. And then if you look at my photo, you can see the roof of the enclosed patio with that section attached is completely different.
Right. And again, here, I think it's just going back to step 1 would be to get the permits and plans on the enclosed structure. Then coming with that, the duplex would fall into place. whether or not an additional garage, like you pointed out, would come into place. But as of right now, we can't even call it really a duplex because there are no permits on file for that.
And are there any plans from the original? I don't think you, we're talking about a story that
No. No, we
it's
didn't find any.
over 75 years ago.
Right.
So you're assuming, I don't know, that this is new? It could be 25 years ago that the addition will happen?
Not
I'm
just
questioning.
assuming, yeah, I mean, again, it's looking at the different roof structures and also looking at the windows, unless those windows were just recently replaced.
Right, they
But
could-
also looking at the interior photos that came up on slide 13, if you can go back to 13.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I don't think that was built in the 50s.
No, but it was remodeled.
But it
as
was
these-
remodeled and
It's
Spoke.
possible.
it is possible,
It is
and
possible.
it might also be possible that some of that may have required permits that weren't pulled.
Well,
But again, we don't know. 'Cause we
And,
haven't
and part of
never
that
been in
gets
there.
into, it's only of recent vintage, is in the last 10 or 15 years, that things like ADUs have come into acceptable uses in residentially zoned property. Before that, if you had property that was zoned for single-family residential, you could have a mother-in-law set up with a bedroom and a bathroom, but you were not allowed to put any kind of cooking device in it. And so that starts raising questions. I don't know, has anyone established when this was converted over to a duplex?
It was sometime
Because the kitchen was
after-
put in at some time.
Yeah, as far as we can tell, it would have been after 1960 because it doesn't show up on the Sanborn map.
And
And
I will tell
before
you that-
2020, before Ms. Porter purchased it, because I believe it was there already. But again, whether or not it, I mean, I think we're just using different terms. The term duplex, that would, to me, that defines that, means that it has a separate occupancy, that, that it's actually a duplex. But as of right now, it is not. This is actually, it's a single-family home, and the current zoning is actually an office.
But an ADU can be on the same as a single family and be an ADU and kind of like a mother-in-law suite, so. that
It
kinda
can.
takes-
But
Right.
the problem with that is it kind of defeats the argument that this was permitted in 1950.
Yeah,
It's either it was an ADU that would be done under current regulations,
right,
or it was done in 1950, but it's not going to be both.
correct. But it wouldn't be a duplex either back then.
Without seeing a full floor plan and everything.
No,
Right.
we need.
It's
I-
tough
I-
to make a judgment.
It's
Yeah.
very tough to make a judgment, and based on the line, the roof line, or the windows, we're being offered constantly, upgrade your home, put dual glazing. So I mean that's even you cannot judge the age of the permit. It could have been done in the 50s or in the 60s, because I remember when I was a young woman as an architect and I went in for a building permit. That was in 1978. There was anything available. You couldn't find any records from anywhere, just written records.
and-
So how do we judge? I wouldn't.
And even that map, the Sanborn map, could be wrong, because I've
Yeah.
come across wrong ones anyways.
Yeah. And again, that's what we have, is we have the Sanborn map from 1960,
Which
and then
could
what
be
it is
wrong.
today.
And we're talking 65 years ago.
And that's a
so
difference.
I was a kid then.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we, any more questions from the board members? Anybody else? Gentlemen? All right, I think we'll close the hearing and we'll have some discussion here.
Okay.
Thank you.
I did prepare, if you guys want to try and use them, just forms to be able to make your decision either way, however you decide. So it's a checkbox, so if you guys want
Okay,
to,
thank you.
if the board would like to review those and maybe utilize those, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's have some discussion, gentlemen. And I'll begin. I have the reason of a doubt. I cannot judge and ask the owner to conform to this code in 30 days. We need more information. There's just no two ways about it. I need more information. I cannot condone a violation until we know more about this. That's my situation.
We just want to verify that is the structure permitted or not permitted?
Okay. But how do you verify if it can, there isn't any information?
I will to some degree disagree in how we characterize the Sanborn maps. Yes, there are occasional mistakes on them, but the reality of it is, having spent time on the Historic Preservation Commission, they are considered a source authority. They are considered something that really can be cited to document the history of a piece of property. And that goes up to National Register nominations. They are clearly allowed as acceptable evidence. So I give that a bit of strength. On the time frame of 30 days, I agree with you, Imelda. Even getting plan, if she submitted for plan check
Yes,
today,
there's no way.
she wouldn't have permits in
No.
30 days. So that could be extended. And I
Just one
think
moment, we need. let
Yeah,
me
I
finish.
can expand on that. Again, this is just the language that's in the Fresno Municipal Code, but a lot of times what code enforcement will do when it comes to big projects, like this one could be, possibly, that 30 days is extended. As long as there is some kind of working progress towards, getting plans, towards finding an architect, towards getting these things done. Again, that would be what the progress hearing is for, to see, okay, here, what's the status, what's going on. But I just want to make that clear. No one's expecting this to be completely done in 30 days. There's no way. There's no way.
As an architect, I can tell you, based on these facts that I'm looking at, it'll probably take me 2 years to find out to discover, we have to investigate this, and it's a questionable.
Yeah.
And I would have my structural engineer and everybody on board.
Yes.
But that takes time. And
No, we understand. And the thing is, first, step one is to, again, determine whether or not there's a violation. Step two is how long is this process going to take? As long as there's reasonable steps taken towards compliance, that's all we're looking for.
anybody else for discussion?
Sorry, I would just like to, excuse me, Ashley Atkinson, Assistant Director for Planning and Development, just to remind the board, the standard that we use for your decision-making is the preponderance of evidence. If you refer back to the training you received from Senior Deputy City Attorney Casas last time, that we're looking for 51% in favor of a decision or greater. And I'd invite the City Attorney to share more about that if he thinks it's appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so,
About that,
huh?
I have something to say.
Go
about
for
that.
it.
So, I think you have to be blind not to see what's gone on here. It's obvious that there was additions poorly done. When they happened, who knows? I'm completely saddened by the whole situation and a little disgusted, to be honest with you, about how this has all come and landed on this poor woman's lap. My position is, I see what the staff has done again. Such a great job. Thank you so much. Beautiful work that you've done in presenting that to us. So thank you for your presentation. But what I don't understand is how we can rule in favor of confirming this and then ruining the lives of three
Yes,
families.
I agree with you, 100%.
That's my problem. And I know that's maybe emotional, but in my mind, and I've said this before, everybody up here and all the staff down there, we work for the city and the citizens of Fresno, not the other way around.
Exactly.
They're not beholden to us. We are beholden to them. We have to find a way to serve the people of Fresno. And in my mind, it's our job to serve this woman.
Absolutely, I agree.
We need to find some way where the city can feel whole and this woman's life not be devastated. And that's what I wish that we could find a way to do. Not every law and every rule fits in every situation. If that were absolutely true, I would say, well, we have no other choice but to confirm. But it doesn't seem right to do that. And that's my problem and where I'm struggling.
Okay, so let's continue on with the discussion and see what sort of an alternative we can come up with. Is there a motion that I can
May I
contemplate?
add a comment?
Yes,
If we go back to Article 5 on the appeals, the FMC, this board is technically not permitted to ignore the FMC. You must apply the FMC, and whether or not it seems unjust or not, the FMC, the board doesn't have the authority under 11-504B. It says, the Building Standard Appeals Board shall have no authority relative to the interpretation of the administrative provisions of this article, nor shall the Building Standard Appeals Board be empowered to waive the requirements of the provisions of the Fresno Municipal Code. So either there is a violation or there isn't a violation. And the equities and how the other portions that has been expressed shouldn't come into play. And it sounds like from what I've heard, is that the code is willing to work, well, however long it takes, but the issue is it compliant or not compliant with the FMC? And if the evidence shows that it tilts in favor of noncompliance, then I think the board's hands are.
And I think the problem is that some members of the board are concerned whether it is compliant or not. They don't believe that they have enough information to do that judgment. I think it's pretty easy to see what happened. The question is, did it happen in 1950, in 1990? Did it happen last week? What we do know is that this woman bought this house from a flipper, right? And in my mind, why isn't he completely responsible? Why didn't he pull necessary permits before he was allowed to sell? That's just one of the things that go through my mind. Why is she the victim of the situation? I think it's obvious that there's a violation. You have to just look at that roof line to see there's a violation. The question is it safe? She says yes, but it's still a violation, potentially. The other thing I would add respectfully is that the information, is it possible that for some reason, some way, permits were pulled and not filed? What is the possibility of something like that happening when this guy flipped this? Did he do all of this work without a permit?
I defer to Eric on that one.
I believe that code enforcement went out there. They based their inspection on current codes. Simple as that. However, how about if this happened in the 60s? Or what makes us determine whether it's safe or unsafe? Is there another alternative that I'm thinking about? Is there a way to inspect or have a professional look at the building and say, hey, it's safe? It doesn't meet current codes, however, it's safe for somebody to live there since it's been here since 1948, even before I was born. Please, Eric, I would like your opinion as well.
So the intent of the code is to provide life safety, right? And
Exactly.
so looking at just from the perspective of the Sanborn map versus aerial, there has been construction without benefit of permit or inspection because we have no record of it. And the intent then is, okay, well, what type of construction was completed without permits or inspection? So with that is, okay, in the new area that was constructed, is there a bathroom? Is there light fixtures? You know, is there windows? Is there proper venting, right? If there was any sanitary sewer expansion for sinks and water closets or showers, right? So any type of modification of that or new addition, there's a concern with that. The other is this a concrete, you know, a slab on grade? Is this a raised floor, right? Is there heating? Is there air conditioning, right? The code has always maintained that, you know, 36 inches above, you know, above finished floor, 68 degrees minimum for heating, right? And so that's something else that we have to take a look at for life safety. That's been in the code for quite some time. So there is some life safety issues, though it may be small on the patio expansion. There is some structural issues there, such as tying in the roof line to the fascia boards, right? The next is on the tying in of the expansion of the room on the, I don't know if it's the south or north side of the house, but what is happening there with the expansion? There's a lot of different things that our inspectors would go out and actually look at to verify if it meets the minimum requirements. And if there are minimum requirements, they need to provide plans so that way that they can go out and inspect it to verify, right? And so with that, there are elements that I have taken in the past with other projects similar to this, is I would go in and use a video library from Fresno State, and that has yearly pictures, and I can go back in using that to verify what year each portion of the building was constructed, and then go back into that same year and utilize the existing or the approved building code at that time period.
Exactly.
To go and evaluate the actual structure itself. So there is a process that I've used in the past for that. That could be something that the board could consider. But again, looking at the relevance of what is in front of us, right? We have to go off of explicitly with the California Building Code and the municipal code. And so once that is done, then the owner can reach out to the building department and the building official, and we can work with code. We can work with the owner in order to develop a plan to help remedy and resolve the issues.
Yeah, that's what we've done with projects similar to this, is that we found a structure that was built on the site, and we know that it was built in the 70s. We went back, found pictures, found when it was built, and we were given the leniency of that's the code that you build to. So I'm fine with that as long as that new structure isn't held up to the new code, because we know it's not built to the new code.
No.
And to have it, yes, it probably wasn't permitted, and even if it's in the assessor's information, doesn't really matter. I have a project where a barn was built and it's in the assessor's document, but I still have to get it permitted. But I was allowed to go back to the year that it was built to have it designed to that design or that code, and that's how I would view something like this.
So would they inspect the building according to 1958 standards?
We haven't inspected existing structures to 1970 standards, so there wouldn't be that big of a stretch to go back to 1950 because we have those records and those codes on file in our library.
Well, let's get back to this matter. There are 3 different options that we need to address here. And I will ask the board members to make a motion as to which one of these 3 are we completely satisfied that would allow us to make a ruling on. So the first one is to confirm the notice as we were recommended by staff, right?
Which again is just specifically 2 structures, right? The enclosed patio.
Exactly.
They're calling it, and the covered patio.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's all we're talking about.
Yep.
And then the second one is to dismiss and other violations. So I'm assuming that you want that this second one is to disregard or address only the living space instead of the patio. I'm confused. What is this violation? Please, yes.
So the second option is for the board to decide if they want to dismiss one of the violations, either number 1 or number 2, and hold the other. So there's always that option in every case. So you either confirm both violations or just confirm some of the violations. In this case, there are only 2 violations, right? Other cases, there might be 30. So you might confirm, 2 and dismiss 18. It's whatever the board finds, again, by the preponderance of the evidence.
And can I ask a question?
Sure.
What would trigger a new inspection? Which one of these 3 decisions would trigger a new inspection? Would none of them? You're giving me that look like.
I'm not sure what you mean by a new inspection.
So, well, here's what we know. Here's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming an inspector's never been on site, never been in those rooms. Because all the evidence you've given us is a Google map and a 1960s hand-drawn Sanford, whatever we're calling that map.
There were the photographs. The inspector was there on site.
That's true.
Yeah, the photographs, there was an inspection there. Right. So an inspection would be if either of the violations are confirmed. And again, however many days are given to rectify and correct those violations, then our inspectors work with the property owners to schedule another inspection in the future.
Because I only see one picture. I don't see any foundation pictures. I don't see anything about the roof framing. I don't see anything. I don't know what that building was put up. It could be put up with matchsticks, or it could have been done with a very strong, very knowledgeable framer.
So
We don't know.
Okay. The packet has more pictures. You mean you've
I've
got the full
looked at your
packet?
package.
Oh, okay.
I looked
Okay.
at your package. I'm still not convinced as to, what do you call a violation and when was this done? That's a question that I have. I don't know about the rest of you. I think we can move this along and have a motion.
I will make a quick statement and then a motion. And the first thing I'm going to say is I understand your plight and I have sympathy for you. But then again, we're required to judge the law. There is recourse if the flipper was the one that did so much of this stuff, and that if he didn't disclose it to you, you have that, you can go after them for damages. Unfortunately, that costs money with a lawyer as well. So again, I feel for you. But I think everyone on this board has pretty much stated that, yes, it looks like there were additions done to this without permits, and that you're the person being the current owner that is going to bear the brunt. So although I'm not happy about this, I have to make a motion to confirm the notice and order. And I will encourage you, Mr. Frampton here is a nice guy. And he will find a way to work with you and help make this easy. I've been through this before with some other properties. I'm an architect. And we were able to take care of some things without having to move families out. So it may just be documenting, and if everything was done, from the photographs I've seen of the interior, it looks like someone did a nice job. So I'm hopeful that they didn't violate any codes, but for the most part, I've got to say, it looks like it's code compliant. It's just now getting documentation on the board. But I will make a motion to confirm the notice and order, and again, encourage you to work with the building department. I think they can be a big help to you. And code enforcement has already said, as long as you're working with them, they will extend your time.
I'll second that.
Daniel seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. I opposed, Mr. Short.
And good luck.
Thank you. All right. So I will ask the secretary do you have a report, Mr. Secretary?
A report at this time, I do not have.
You don't have, okay.
I do not have anything to report at this time.
Okay, thank you very much.
you, Imelda.
How about some unusual oral communications? Does anybody have from the audience or anything to add or subtract? No? Okay. So, I guess we're adjourning. It's 2:09, and this meeting has been adjourned.
Just going to make one request, if we could fill out the form that was for the written decision, so that we have a written decision. That was
have to
that
take
last
the
form
exam.
that I
This one?
handed out.
Choice questions? Oh, you're going to fill it out for us?
Oh, all of us have to answer it?
No.
No. We just need
You want
one.
this,
Yeah,
right?
we
The
just need
secretary.
one.
This, that's all.
That's
Just
all. I
do
don't
the
know who
first
filled it
box.
out.
And we will,
Yeah.
okay.
And then if you give it back to, I don't know who gets it.
So voting ayes, we have Daniel. Let me make sure I got your last name correctly.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for the careful consideration.
You're welcome, and I wish you all the luck. I think you could, I really believe that you can probably get this done without moving the families out. So, now, if it had been, the addition had all these glass walls that didn't support each other, I'd be going, it doesn't look like that.